I moved from Nigeria to Estonia for my master's degree a little over 6 months ago now. And before I came here, I thought I knew what to expect in terms of like education and schooling. I'm a school girl. I've gone through the Nigerian education system from primary school all the way. I mean, how different could schooling in Europe really be? You guys, it is so different. Anyways, I just want to be clear from the start of the video that this is not about saying one system is better or the other is worse. Both system has taught me something. Both system have strengths and weaknesses. They are both fundamentally different in ways that I don't even think people talk about, and I just wanted to talk about it. And this is for anyone considering studying abroad or has already made the move and is just trying to make sense of everything. Because it's a shock, guys. It's not even a cultural shock, it's a system shock. Everything is different. The rules, the expectation, what being a good student actually means changes. Like you are operating in a completely different system. The first thing is something I will call, and I don't even want to call it this, but I don't have better words. I'll call it the stress layer. The Nigerian schooling system has an extra layer on top of the actual learning. I genuinely don't know what to call it. Stress, endurance. It's just this unspoken expectation that school is supposed to be difficult in a way that have nothing to do with the academics itself. In Nigeria, going to school is not considered just an intellectual challenge. I feel like sometimes it's altogether a life or survival challenge rather. There's so many logistic layers involved that really has nothing to do with the academic work, and their presence is not really considered as problems. They are treated in some way as part of the experience, like a rite of passage. You endure it because that's what students do, and in a weird way that endurance becomes a part of your identity as a student. Like, you don't know Unilag. Unilag is hard. No, UI is harder than Unilag. I survived Unilag. I survived UI. It's like a badge, kind of. And the first thing that I noticed here is that that layer is completely non-existent. You don't have to overcome that layer before you start studying. When I first got here, I didn't even know how to feel about it. A part of me was relieved, I'm not going to lie. Like I can just focus on learning. But another part of me felt like something was missing. This sounds so toxic. But it felt too easy, like I haven't ended yet. The layer we had in Nigeria, it shapes how you define what school is supposed to be. And when it is removed, everything else starts to feel a little suspicious. But for me, I had to learn that the hard part is still there. The hard part is just now in the academics, not in the infrastructure. And you just adjust to that shift. The second thing is the lecturer-student relationship. Interestingly, today I was in class and my lecturer was talking to me and I'm like, "Sir," and he's like, "Oh my God." And I'm literally just like, "Oh, I'm joking." In Nigeria, lecturers are authority figures, full stop. You do not call them by their first name. You address them as Doctor, Professor, Sam. There is a very clear hierarchy. And your job as a student is to stay on the right side of that hierarchy. And it's not theoretical, it's very practical. There are lecturers you genuinely should be afraid of. There are lecturers whose bad side you do not want to be on. There is that power dynamics. You don't argue with your lecturer in class. I mean, yeah, you don't do that too. Even if you disagree with something your lecturer is saying, you just keep it to yourself or find a very diplomatic way to tender the question or the disagreement. Because if something is deemed as a challenge, it could be interpreted as disrespect, and disrespect in the Nigerian university has consequences. So getting here and just calling my lecturers by their first name is like, what do you mean I should call you Lagbaja? Hello? Are we mates? Why should I call you just that? And it's not that they are less qualified or less respected. I genuinely respect my lecturers here, but respect in this environment is expressed differently. It is expressed through engagement, through participation, not through how much deference you show to your lecturers. And in the European classroom, at least in my program in Estonia, yeah, that's where I am, the lecturers give you like the space to push back, right? You can maybe not point back, just talk to them anyhow, but you can push back on something they say, you can ask questions, you can probe something they say, to question something they're saying. In Nigeria, the point is to absorb, to listen, to take notes, to reproduce what you were taught. In Europe, the point is to engage, to question, to construct your own understanding, and both approaches have their value. I think the Nigerian approach teaches you discipline, respect for expertise, maybe the ability to learn from people that know more than you. The European model kind of teaches you critical thinking, intellectual confidence, and the ability to form and defend your position, right? So if you are transitioning from one system to the other, from Nigeria to, my prayers are with you, because for many years we've been trained to absorb and now someone is telling you that you cannot be quiet, you have to engage. My head of programs, I don't think there's a class it teaches where a student will not present in the middle of the class. Like there will always be a period of time in this class where students will be in the front doing something, saying something. Number 3 for me is exams and assessments. Oh my goodness. Since I started my master's program here, I have written only one exam. And honestly, I wouldn't even call it an exam in the Nigerian sense. Because during that exam, we were allowed to use our phone, our laptop, the internet, even ChatGPT. Imagine you're in Nigeria and you're caught with your phone in exam. It's a law, expulsion, carry over at the minimum. But it's different here. And the reason it works is because the exams here are designed differently, at least the one I took. At least in my school, in my program, the questions are not asking you to reproduce information. They are not asking you to memorize a definition and write it back. They are asking you to apply knowledge to a problem. So even if you Google the concepts and you don't understand it well enough to use it in context, having your phone wouldn't help you. So there's that difference between how learning is assessed in Nigeria versus here in Estonia, where I am. In Nigeria, learning or assessment is heavily exam based. We have mid-semester tests, we have final exam, you study for a week. The entire grading system, at least as far as I know, as far as I've experienced, is built around whether you can recall what was taught and write it down under pressure. In Europe, or at least in my program, assessment is almost entirely practical. Project, presentation, building something, writing something, applying what you've learned to a real scenario. They give you the knowledge and almost immediately you have to do something with it, especially in my program. Like it's less about did you remember this? It's more about can you use this? And honestly, I think the European model is harder in some way because you cannot just cram the night before. You have to actually understand the material deeply enough to create something new with it. And I don't think there's a shortcut for that. But the Nigerian model also has things that the European model doesn't. It trains your memory, your discipline under pressure, the ability to retain massive amount of information and perform under stressful, limited. And I think that's a real skill. And if you're a student in Nigeria, you definitely have that skill in abundance. Number 4 is independence and self-direction. In Nigeria, the school tells you what to do. The system is already dictated and you just operate within it. I'm not doing my BSc, I'm doing my master's, but maybe BSc is different here. But at the master's level, at least in what I'm experiencing here, there is more freedom. You can deviate. You don't need permission to think independently. You have an assignment, go about it your ways. The next one will be the physical experience. In Nigeria, the physical experience of going to school is work. The commutes are long. The campuses are huge. Our campuses are huge. I remember when I was in Lautech, my hostel was close to the school, and that was such a big advantage. There are people that their hostel is far from the school. They have to trek to the school and then trek within the school because within the school itself is literally an entire city on its own. From one end to the other end of the school is so far, right? So campuses are huge and the commute itself is really stressful. My school here is big too, but definitely not as big as the Nigerian University. And I don't want to go into the details, but the infrastructure is better, so it makes that experience better. Like I can have a class at 4 p.m. If I get to the front of the school by 3:58, I can get to my class by 4 p.m. Like if I get to the gate of a Nigerian university 2 minutes before my class starts, probably except that all that we are using is literally at the gates, I probably wouldn't get there in 2 minutes. So that physical difference too could affect your mental energy. And for me, that I am here, I think it affects it in a positive way. All that logistic disappears and all your energy actually goes into your academics, right? I feel like that actually makes you sit down and realize just how much of your energy in Nigerian university or in Nigerian school is being spent on things that have nothing to do with your education. And this is not to say that Nigerian students are less capable. In fact, I think it's the opposite. If you have all these layers to deal with and you can still achieve under those conditions, honestly, that's a compliment. It's not a criticism of Nigerian students. Last one for me is the learning philosophy. In Nigeria, learning is often treated as absorption. You go to class, the lecturer talks or dictates, you take notes, you study the notes, and you reproduce the notes in an exam. The cycle is more of receive, retain, reproduce, right? In Europe, at least in my program, I keep saying at least in my program, so you know that this is my experience, I'm not talking on behalf of the continent. But in my program, in my experience, learning is treated as construction. You go to class, the lecturer presents a concept or a framework, you engage with it, you question it, you apply it to a problem or a project, and then you build or create something with it. So it's more like receive, engage, create, right? And none of this is entirely right or wrong. I don't want this video to be like, oh, this one is better than the other. I think the Nigerian model, when you look on the bright side, it gives you strong foundation. You know the material, you can recall the material, you've been through the fire of cramming and you've come the other side with knowledge. The European model assumes that you have that foundation, at least based on what the teacher has given to you, and it pushes you to do something with it. It is less about what you know and more about what you do with what you know. For someone who went through the Nigerian system first and then entered this system here, in my program in Estonia, for me, the switch feels like it's from give me an answer to what do you think the answer might be. Like, yeah, you walk through this process more on your own. You sit with the concepts more because you are forced to use it, especially in my program. It's not that one system prepared me better than the other, if I'm being sincere. But to be honest, I think I have the one I prefer when it comes to this. But they both prepare you for different things. The Nigerian system gives you discipline, endurance, a deep respect for knowledge. And with my experience here, I think the model here gives you more independence, critical thinking, and a more grounded confidence to trust your own perspective. And I'm grateful for both. So if you're a Nigerian student studying somewhere in Europe, you already made the move and you're like, hello, what's going on here? I hope this helps. The adjustment takes time. Just give yourself time, give yourself grace. The skills you learned and built in Nigeria might feel like they are pointless here, but I promise you they are not. In fact, they are your superpower. You just have to learn how to apply them in your new context, right? And if this is like not your experience, I would really love to hear your own experience as well. And if you haven't left Nigeria or you are schooling in Nigeria, I'm not saying your education is lesser. I'm just saying it's different. And honestly, as a Nigerian student, shout out to you. Shout out to you. You are trying. Give yourself grace. Schooling is so layered, and you are navigating through all that layer. You are really doing a good job, honestly. I'm trying to remember greatest Nigerian students. You're doing a good job. Like, give yourself, like, clap for yourself, man. You are. Anyways, that's pretty much. This video is already too long. So if you found this helpful, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, drop your experiences. If you're in Europe, if you're somewhere different and you have like a completely different opinion, experience, let me hear it. If you're in Nigeria, let me hear. I'm looking forward to your comments and I will see you in the next one. Bye.